there is no good and there is no bad. You know what I mean? These conspirators rise up, commit this heinous act for what they think is good, and the savior, Marc Antony and Octavius, come in to save the day. But are they really good? Are they really good? Are they really bad? Are they, you know, it's sort of like, so I think that like the discussions are endless. You know, who's right, who's wrong. Practice makes perfect. So I think that the more you read it, the more it is easier to comprehend. That's the first and foremost. So I would encourage people to definitely read more. But it was meant originally to be heard. You know, they are plays. Shakespeare never really meant them to be read. It is a strong temptation to go off and see the iconic roles, to see how other people played them. You know, Marc Antony was done by Marlon Brando in the film back in the 50s, which is sort of like not necessarily the best, you know, Marc Antony ever, but it's definitely one that a lot of people remember. Students, you know, at that age have, their imaginations are so much broader, you know what I mean? And I like to think of them being like the original audiences of Shakespeare's time for seeing these shows for the first time, you know what I'm saying? They are so responsive to things such as the, you know, the spectacle, the fights, some of the language, the relationships, that, you know, they have a wider range of belief, you know, it's just that suspension of disbelief, that believing. You know, they're not necessarily warmer, but they're definitely more involved, you know what I'm saying? They're a piece of us, and I think that I've done a couple of the student shows here, and I do know that is true, in the sense that they are very similar to the original Shakespeare audiences, because those crowds back in those days would get so loud that you know, sometimes the actors had a hard time really, but it was because they were in it, you know what I mean? They were in it, they were loving it. People listened to me. Do you know what I'm saying? I was a middle child, so it was like hard to really get people's attention all the time, but then, you know, when I was on stage, people all of a sudden started listening to me, which was awesome.